Hi everybody and welcome to Dark Matter Workshop. My name is Gert and in this video I'm going to show you how to make your own statues and a dead tree for your wargaming terrain. We are going to start with the statues. Let's go! First thing that we are going to do is make the concrete column that is going to support the statues. For this I use 5mm thick foam board, to which I cut the sides at a 90-degree angle to get rid of all the exposed foam, and I use a hot glue gun to glue everything together as it goes really fast and smooth. At the top and the bottom I add pieces of 3mm and 5mm thick foam board. And that's it for the basic building. Now we're going to lay down some texture. I'm going to use the paper powder that I used in some previous projects where I used it as a texture for rust. Now I'm going to use it as a texturing tool for concrete. Gives a really fine powdery texture, which is going to work great with all the grays that we are going to lay down. So I thinned down a little bit of PVA glue with water, painted on the foam board, and then gently spread the paper powder around on the model. .3mm thick MDF base with a beveled edge. I prefer MDF because it's really solid. If you drop this model it probably will not get damaged. The soil is speckle, which I attach to the model with a little spatula to simulate the soil and ground. So after a good drying time, we glue on the models with a little bit of super glue, and it's time to lay down a bunch of painting. We are going to start with a black base coat, a black primer. Base coats are brown for the statues and a pale grey blue on the stone. Second layer is brass all over the model. I prefer a brown undercoat for these types of colors because they really help with yellowish type colors to bring them out. A layer of Ajax Earthshade to bring out the shadows, and then we can start with the concrete. I stipple on mixtures of pale grey and white. Start off with a little bit of white and then I gradually add in more. For the Verdigris effect I rip out the Verdigris glaze by Verdigris and I thin it down with a little bit of water and I build it up over time until I am happy with the results. It takes about 3 to 4 layers. Now we are happy with the statues, we can continue with the concrete. We are going to apply some washes, mixed in some black and grey wash to tone down the blackness. And I paint down some stripes all over the concrete at the bottom to where the water would pour down over the concrete to simulate some moss, dirt. Same thing but now with a little bit of green wash. Thin down with some water. Some more detail I wanted to add at this stage. A little bronze plaque at the front of the statue. It's just a simple piece of cardboard painted up in the same colors than the statues and glued at the front with a little bit of PVA glue. For the base work we are going to start with a layer of burnt umber all over the soil and dirt. For the ground cover I'm going to go with Sepia's Base Ready. If you don't know what this product is, you can see a video in the description below. Anyway, it's a mixture of stones, gravel, pigment powders, all in one simple mixture, which I applied with PVA glue, and then I can start by adding on the flowers and the foliage. These are by Mininature. I add a little bit of tall grass. I can't remember which brand this is. I believe it was Noch, but it doesn't really matter. Just here and there, and I attach all of these flowers with super glue. And the last step of foliage is some medium green by Woodland Scenics. This is really easy to cut and rip apart to make some creeping vines types of foliage and what have you. Just gently rip it apart and attach it with a little bit of super glue. And this is the result. I like these very much. They're going to add a ton of character to my games. Time to start with the second piece of this project, a dead tree. For this piece I start by cutting off a bunch of wires 50 centimeters long. Let's go. I fold the metal wires in two, and then I use some pliers to twist a trunk. Use the pliers to twist up some branches and try to somewhat make them look natural. With hot glue I attach the trunk to the MDF base. And then I rip off a bunch of aluminum foil, or aluminium. In Dutch it's aluminium. That's easy, right? Just one pronunciation. Just twist it around the metal wire until you have a good thickness. And this is basically used to use as less Fimo, which is the product that we are going to use for the bulking up of the model. Makes it a whole bunch cheaper. Just continue the process till you're happy with the result. Then I mix up some Fimo soft. You can use whatever Fimo you like. Mix it up. I make a sausage with the Fimo, and then I roll them out with the clay shaper so I can easily attach them around the aluminium foil. Just simply wrap it around the trunk and use your fingers to get rid of all the seams. Continue this process for the entire tree. Just always little sausages flattened out, wrapped around the aluminium foil. Then you can make some sausages and attach these to the bottom to give some variation in the bark, some thickness here and there, especially at the bottom. I use a little tool spoon and some water to get rid of all the finger marks and all the little lines between the Fimo. Just gently smooth it all around the model. And then with a needle tool I apply the texture for the bark all over the tree. You can look at some real life pictures. for some inspiration. I just went with my gut feeling on this one. Just all over the tree until you are happy with the result. After texturing, we remove the MDF base from the model and we pop it in the oven. 30 minutes, 110 degrees Celsius. And it's time to lay down a bunch of painting. So after baking, I reattached the tree to the base and applied some speckle, pale grey blue as a base coat, then a sepia wash, and a wash with Ajax Earthshade. A green wash covering about 60% of the model, especially at the bottom, and then after drying, a dry brush of barnwood to bring out all the lovely texture in the bark. Then I sculpted a bunch of crows to go and sit on the tree. Now I have no footage of this, but I can highly recommend Modern Synthesist. Fantastic channel with great tips for how to sculpt. Find this channel in the links below. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, you know what to do. Leave me a comment. I always try and answer any question or comment that you give me. Have fun crafting, and I'll see you soon for a new update here on Dark Matter Workshop. See you soon. Bye.